Let us get rolling. Okay, so we're going to start off today with the rush that we didn't get to do yesterday, which is the last item on yesterday's sugya. And then we're going to move into the new parts of today, which is really a whole different ballpark. So if you have a rush, please make sure to open it up. We're going to start together. So if you remember yesterday, we have been discussing the idea that when it comes to the idea of a chazkas mamon, there are two different ways that we could view a chazkas mamon. One way is the classic concept of hamotzi mechavero alav haraya, which basically says that if you're a muchzak, if you have physical possession of something, the physical possession itself is a raya that you are the owner. But again, as we said yesterday, it's a current raya, meaning to say there's a raya right now. I'm holding on to it. Mistama, the thing belongs to me. If you want to try to get it away from me, so you have to bring some kind of a raya. We suggested yesterday if that was true, so then a tainas bari might have been sufficient to overcome that lower level of proof called a muchzak. We established based on the teaching of the Maharik. And we saw this is the sheet of the Xosachoshin as well, but there's another dimension to the idea of a chazkas mamon, which is the concept that every chazkas mamon is essentially a chazaka meikara. Now, once we had established a fact, we knew that someone was an owner, was a bailim over something, so his bailis never changes unless we can prove positively 100% that the change actually was made. Just like any other chazaka to make car, we assume that the way things were, that's the way they are, and that's the way they will be as well. That's true also when it comes to chezkas mama. Someone who was known to be a bailim, once again, not because right now a physical possession, but if I was known and did to be a bailim over the thing from beforehand, we assume that that's true as we go on down the line as well. And we explained yesterday that was the pshat, perhaps that's the pshat in the sheet of Rav Nachman, but Ukimimona b'chezkas mare. Rav Nachman is coming and telling us that normally, we agree that a tainas bari actually can win if it's not going against the chazaka, but one thing that a tainas bari can't do is that it's not actually a real raya to anything. It's not a real birur 100% to anything. So if the other guy has a chezkas mamon / a chazaka de meikara, he was the known owner of that money up until now. Unless you can mamish prove that changes, even the tainas bari is not going to be able to beat out that. Okay, again, we discussed a number of other things yesterday, but that was enough of a chazar for right now. Along comes this rush, and the rush has a very interesting shita here. That this rush, as you've seen in the past, is chock full of different ideas. It can come up, many times over for a lot of different things. This is another you will call use of this very, very significant rush in the first parak. So once again, we know the rush was taking issue with the chiddush of the Rabbeinu Yonah. Right? The Rabbeinu Yonah Davtes issued a psak that even though the Gemara says Omer Pesach Pasuach Matzasi is Nem on the Osra Alav, but if the girl responds with a tainas bari, the Mishei Rastani and Nasti, then she's going to be muteris. And the Rabbeinu Yonah explained because bari v'shema bari the tainas bari is always able to win. Okay, now let's put this very quickly in context of yesterday's discussion. Yesterday we were trying to show that really everybody agrees that a tainas bari is a very significant thing, right? Remember we introduced the teaching of the Ramban in Bava Basra and Daf Lamed Daled, where the Ramban says, even though in our sugya we hold like Rav Nachman that Ukimamon chezkas mare, but in general we actually do hold of a tainas bari. It's just that the tainas bari was not able to beat out over a chazaka, like we were describing, the chezkas mama. Rabbeinu Yonah comes along here and says, right, that so the tainas bari is a believable, credible thing that we're able to actually use. We can use it for Dinei Mamanis, right? Like that was the sugi there in Baba Basra that the Ramban was describing yesterday. Says Rebbeinu, I can use that in Isurim also. She has a Tainas Bari. A Tainas Bari wins. Okay? That was the Rebbeinu Yom. Now we know the Rush did not agree with that at all. Okay? So we're going to read because the different parts of the Rush. I want to make sure we get all the stages. And then there's some questions that we have to ask the Rush before we get to the final Pshat and Hezber in the Rush. Says the Rush like this. I'm now going to start reading inside. To Talmid of the Koswell Vishmo. That was a mistake that the Talmidim wrote that in the Rebbeinu Yonah's name. Ki lo amra me'olam. He could not have possibly said that. The Kevin Deleka Elachad Sveika Lazina Lechumra. We're dealing with a Sveika Daraisa. Sveika Daraisa goes the Chumra. Ubidibura Lo Mehemna. She's not believed in what she says. It doesn't matter to us that she has a Tainis Bari. Listen carefully now to the first part of the Rush. The Ha'amrin on the Kavana Daf Yud Gimel, the Kaimelon Kerub Nachman, the Lo Amrin on Bari Vishem, Bari Adif. We hold that the Rush is like Reb Nachman, that we don't say that Bari Adif. Even if the Bari is a Tov and the Shema is Garua, we still don't listen to the Tainas Bari. And Kol Sheken Hacha the Bari Garua, Shiodah She'enu Yochel Achisho. Says the Rush, and Kol Sheken in our case, over here on Daf Testing Subis, that the Bari is not going to win because the Bari is a Bari Garua, because she knows when she is the upper hand, that the Baal can't possibly be Machish, she has no clue what happened. So says the Rush, that it's not true. Now, let's just emphasize something over here in the Rush. This first line, the opening line here of the Rush, leads you to believe, you get the impression that the Rush is arguing that fundamentally, right, we do not believe that the Tainas Bari carries any weight. Okay? We hold that the Bari is not Adif. We hold like Reb Nachman, he says, and the Tainas Bari is not going to do anything. Right? Certainly a Tainas Bari that's Garua, it's not going to do anything. But Be'etzem, we hold that Tainas Bari doesn't mean anything. Okay? So the Rush starts off over here like we described yesterday, which was that he's understanding in the Gemara right now that Reb Nachman Shita is not saying that Be'etzem we really hold of a Tainas Bari as being a meaningful thing. It's just the Bari can't win out over a Chezkas Mamon. The way the Rush starts off asking Rabbeinu Yonah, the Rush seems to be taking the opinion that Reb Nachman actually holds that a Tainas Bari just doesn't mean anything. Tainas Bari doesn't count. It doesn't count for us at all. Okay, we understand, right? We see what we're seeing in the Rush. Tainas Bari doesn't matter. As he explained yesterday, the line of the Gemara that Reb Nachman says, Ukim Mamon b'chezkas Mare, according to this stage in the Rush, what that Gemara is saying is not giving us the reason behind Reb Nachman, but rather it's giving us the result of Reb Nachman Shita. Because Reb Nachman holds that the Bari doesn't count for anything, but the case but the starting point is the Bari doesn't mean anything. The Rush continues. Now wait a second. We hold, okay, that in that case in the Mishnah, right, of the husband saying, "Hey, what's the deal?" And she says, "Misheras Tani and Nasti." We hold like Rabban Gamliel that the girl gets her ksuba. Okay, so doesn't that seem to tell us that we think a Tainas Bari is meaningful? What's going on? Says the Rush, not so quick. First of all, the Rush says, if you read our Gemara more carefully, you remember the Gemara doesn't think that Gamliel holds that Tainas Bari wins. Rather, Gamliel holds that a Bari that's augmented by a Migo is going to win. Right? Migo, she could have said Mukas 8, and she said Misheras Tani and Nasti. That's going to win. Or the other option that the Gemara said was that she only believed to say Misheras Tani and Nasti because she has a Chezkas Guf, that she was a Basula, that changed at the last possible moment to Misheras Tani and Nasti. But the Tainas Bari itself isn't really going to win. Rush comes back to his case with Rabbeinu Yonah about Hacha the Leka Chazaka, the Tacht of Nibala. But over here in this case, where the girl doesn't have any kind of a chizkas aguf, because the case was that there was a Kabbalah's Kiddushin from way before she was able to, way before she was able to possibly have been a Basula from a Novellas from beforehand. For sure, the Safik Isser was after they were married. Then you have a problem. Okay. Now the Rush focuses on the part that we're going to concentrate on now. Ve'ein lomar, don't tell me, the Rush says, Hadalo aminan bari v'shema bari adif, hainu kinege chazaka lafuke mamona mechazkase. The Rush says, now don't tell me, okay, what I know that you're thinking. Okay? Don't tell me that really a tainas bari actually is always the strongest thing, and it always wins. Okay? And the only reason why it doesn't win in the case of Matthew Beis is because uke mamona b'chezkas mari, okay, which is what we were describing as the pshat in the Gemara yesterday. Okay, and as you pointed out, the Rush here seems to say, okay, that was the opening cash of the Rush. No, we hold, in fact, that a tainas bari by itself actually is not a game winner. It's not going to win for you. Now, he wants to explain why is he called like that. Don't tell me that a tainas bari is really a legitimate thing that we can use in Bezin. It's just that it can't win against the chezkas mama. Avahecha the leka chazaka, but like in the case that the Rabbeinu Yonah was describing, where your bari is not standing up against the chazaka, lo garaka chabari. Maybe you're going to tell me that the bari is not really a bad thing. Adarab, the bari maybe could win, like the Rabbeinu Yonah says. El adarab, yesh chazaka im bari. Says over here, says the Rabbeinu Yonah, where I was 1 second, it says the Rabbeinu Yonah, over here, adrab, yesh chazaka im habari, the uke isisa b'chezkas heter b'tzadekas, v'nensa, v'yamrina bari adaf. Over here, the Rush says, maybe you're going to argue, the bari has a lot going for it, right? She has a chezkas kashrus, that she was at tzadekas, a chezkas heter, and she has the tainas bari. So why shouldn't the bari win? Bari only doesn't win if it's going against a chezkas mama. Right? Yesterday's pshat in the Gemara. Says the Rush, I'm going to explain to you why you know that that's not true. The lowly. That is all not accurate. And he explains why this is not the tricky part in the Rush. So just when you read the Rush, and hopefully you might ask some questions, so please just keep focus and nod your heads if you're following and understanding. Of the lowy, that's all not true. Ika hacha kineged bari rov. First of all, the Rush says, in our case with the Rabbeinu Yonah, where she says that there's no issue of Pesach Pasuach because it was Mishei Rastani Nasti. Right? Going against that, the Rush says, going against her Tainas Bari, there's a rov. There's a rov of Ratzon. The ones lo shchiach v'yesh kol la'ones. Says the Rush, an idea that we saw in Tosas on Daf Tes, that the truth be told, a case of an ones would have a kol. If a married girl was nens, some people would know about that. Right? Rumors spread quickly, and it's also not shchiach that there be an ones. So all svara and all statistics, all the numbers, right, add up to saying that whatever happened probably happened the Ratzon. Now she has a body to go against that. Right? So now we want to know the Rush says is her time as body strong enough to win over the rov. Well, it says the Rush, Ruba Adif Mechazaka. We know that a rov is actually halachically stronger than a chazaka. When there's a conflict between two principles, a time-honored cloud in the Gemara, Ruba Chazaka, if there's a rov against a chazaka, the rov always wins. So now says the Rush, there's a little mathematics for us. If a rov is always stronger than a chazaka, and there's a rov going against a taina over here, which is stronger than a chazaka, and we know that a taina's bari is not even strong enough to win over a chezkas mamon. So the Rush says, let's do the math. Look up loads of yes, therefore we shouldn't be able to be somebody on her taina's bari, and she's going to be usher. One more time, let's go to the Rush is svar. Okay, when you have the K'malim, is the Rove going against this girl's Tainas Bari? Right? Ruba de Rasa. Okay. Now, I want to know, can Bari be that against the Rove? Right? So the Rush tells you what there are stages in the thought process. Stage one, well, you want to know there's a Rove, there's a Bari beat out a Rove. Well, what is a Bari strong enough to go against? I know a Bari is not strong enough to beat out Chizkas Mamon. Right? That's what Gemara said, and we hold like Reb Nachman. But if a Rove is not strong enough to go against a Chizkas Mamon, right? If a Bari is not strong enough to go against the Chazaka, and a Rove is even stronger than a Chazaka, then Kal V'Chomer, the Rosh says that the Bari can't beat out the Rove. We're all together? Okay. So the Rosh says, in the case of the Rabbeinu Yonah, where Shitain is Bari to me, that I'm totally terrorist to the husband, and I'm not usher, because there's an OS after the Abraham. Okay? Says the Rosh, that Tainas Bari can't possibly win. It's a Bari going against a Rove. Okay, which is this or something.
Sorry, we couldn't hear what Ari just said. At least I couldn't.
Can anyone hear?
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay, did any of us just follow the push-up shot in the rush before we start? Okay, getting some thumbs up, so we'll go ahead. The other people just can't hear, or we didn't try the rush. Good enough. Okay, because I sure for sure understood the rush. There's a couple of questions here on the rush that are not so simple. The rush sounds good, okay? When you look into a little bit more, there's a major tzarech iyun here. We have a little bit of a problem. Let's go back to some of the rules that we know of, okay? The Rosh says, listen, Ruba v'chazaka, Ruba other, if the Rove is stronger than a chazaka, Bari can't go against chazaka, can't go against the Rove, right? So it's easy to say, but let's stop over here and look at some other things that we know. Okay? Does the chazaka help us? Again, I left it one sentence that we should have added it right now. The way the Rosh is lining things up over here and presenting the ideas, again, we're asking you just for a second, let's do this together. The way the Rosh is presenting the ideas, which is a stronger cloud, the road or the chazaka. Okay, so I'm not sure if we're all stuck, but I'm going to go ahead with this one. So the way the Rosh is saying things over here, right? The Rove is definitely the stronger thing. Would it help if we did the phone thing again?
Maybe. Just a little bit choppy. Like throughout the time, it's really choppy.
Okay, hold on one second. I see we're not all. I just got to find the phone number, and then we'll get there. Just give me 1 second.
It could help just to turn off the video, but I don't know. I wouldn't try that, but it could help maybe.
Yeah, we'll go to the phone part.
Okay. Does any better?
Yeah, but Rebbe had an echo for it. Maybe it was just because it wasn't muted. I'm not sure.
Rebbe just muted the phone. So on the computer, Rebbe needs to unmute his phone. And then, yeah.
I did that again. Okay. Well,
not the volume on the computer.
I think Rebbe has an echo.
No, it's because the volume on the computer is on, so the phone's picking
How's
up.
this?
Much better. Yeah.
Okay, so you have to keep reminding me every time that happens. Like, I gotta get this down pat. Like by next month, I'll be able to do this. Okay, so let's continue over here, or maybe like we're starting over again. First of all, did anyone hear or like we got the Pashup Shat in the Rush? Okay. So let's go now. Let's start with the kashas again that we sort of started to ask, and then we go from there. So the way the Rush lays things out over here, right? He says we know the klal, right? Ruba v'chazaka, the rove is always adif. If the bari can't beat out a chazaka, the bari can't beat out a rove. Okay. So the rove is a stronger thing, right? And the chazaka is the weaker thing. So now we have a little issue because what the Rush says, l'chara doesn't sound so, it isn't really so correct. What do you mean it's not so correct? So let's go back to some of the rules that we know. Okay? I have a tainas bari, right? And I'm going against a guy who is a muchzak. Okay? So we know that the rule is, right, that we are the motzmei chaver of haraya, okay? The muchzak is going to win. Right? We also know, though, that means that the chazaka is able to win in dinei mamis, right? The guy who has the chazaka wins. Well, let's say there's a rove going against one of the people that's involved in a dinei mamis rule, right? So we know that the klal is ein holchem mamon acher harov. Remember the Gemara in Bava Kama that you saw in Daf Mem Vav, right? I sold the shore, okay? Then it turned out the shore on Niskal, and then they start to debate. Well, like, did you think you were going to have the shore because you're going to work with it, or do you think you have the shore because you were going to shecht it and eat it, and then you realize it was also biachila because it was already a shore on Niskal, right? And even though most people sell the shore, but we say rove. Right? We don't care what the rove is. Right? The rove doesn't matter. So now, if you look at that, okay, what basically happens is that in the world of dinei maminis, okay, the rove is the weaker factor, okay, and the chazaka is the stronger factor. Okay, one more time. We're going to paskin in favor of the person who's a muchzak, okay, but we're not going to paskin in favor of the person who has the rove going on his side, going for him. Okay, so the kasha that the Rush asked under Rabbeinu Yonah, right, that I see that the rove is generally stronger than a chazaka, right? So if bari doesn't work a chazaka, it can't work against the rove. Is that really true, right? Is that necessarily accurate? Because lamais in the world of dinei mamis, it's actually not like that. Right? The chazaka can win and the rove can't win. The rove is actually the weaker thing. So who says that tainas bari can't beat out against the rove? So here's the catch, and what the pshat in the Rush, what the pshat in the Rush is over here. Okay, and again, this is why this is a very, very important Rush for our sugya. The pshat in the Rush is as follows. We know, like we just said, that a chazaka is able to win out, right, in dinei mamis. The muchzak is going to win, right, but the rove doesn't win, right? So what we were just asking on the Rush is that, so maybe the tainas bari, maybe it doesn't win against the chazaka, but maybe it can win against maybe it can win against the rove is actually weaker. The pshat is like this, that the Rush, when he speaks about a chazaka over here, mistama, what the Rush means, and this is why this is actually a very good raya that the Rush brings, mistama, what the Rush means over here is that a chezkas mamon is a form of a chazaka de me'ikara. Okay? And the world of a chazaka de me'ikara, right, what was, is, and will be, okay, The Chazaka de Meikar is not a Dini Mammonis rule. The Chazaka de Meikar is a cloud that's there in Shas. And it's true that the rule is Ruba v'Chazaka, when we want to know what things are Mavarier for us, like which clarifies things more, the Rov is actually always Adif than a Chazaka. And if we're willing to say that a Tainas Bari cannot win out against a Chazaka de Meikara, okay, then a Tainas Bari is not going to be able to win out against the Rov, right? Because the Rov actually is even stronger as a raya to us than a Chazaka de Meikara. Follow the idea? So if you're just looking at things as a muchzak, right? When you're dealing with a muchzak and a rov, no, the cheshbon that the Rosh makes is incorrect. But if you're looking at the chazaka as a chazaka de meikara, okay, then what the Rosh says is very, very glad, and it makes a lot of sense. So that's why we're going to use this Rosh. That's why we're going to use this Rosh as being another example of a Rishon who clearly holds that a chazkas mama is in fact a form of a chazaka de meikara, okay, which is what we were using then, yesterday to explain, and that is the pshat over here in our Gemara, that the chazaka de meikara is something that is able to win out against the Tainas Bari, even if the Tainas Bari might generally be something that's going to be believable in a bezdin. Okay. That was the end of yesterday's shir, and in the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to start off with today's shir. So take a breather, breathe out, and we start up with back to Daf Yudayz again for the next chunk of our sugya. And a big chunk over here in our sugya. Let me just get the new Amakoma stage lined up in front of me, and then we can start. Okay. So we're coming back to our basic case. Mamon would be Yadacha, Hala, Aייni, יודע, right? Avuna telling us, Bari V'Shema, Bari Adif. Nachman telling us that Uki Mimona V'Chezkas Mari. So we know the Tosas on the spot points out to us the following thing. Mamon would be Yadacha, Hala, Aייni, יודע. Peirosh, the Tosas says the pshat in this case is Aייni, יודע, Imhil Visani, Me'olam. The pshat in the words Aייni יודע has to be that the person is suggesting that I have no idea if I ever borrowed money from you. But if the guy says, I know that I borrowed the money, I just don't know if I paid you back, the Gemara says the Farish about the Kamakuf Yeches, right? The Gemara that you read over today. The Gemara says black and white, the Farish, that we know that in that kind of a case, you're going to for sure be chayiv to pay. Okay? So once again, the Tosas adds over here a yesod for us that the Aייni יודע can only be an Aייni יודע im hilvisani, but the moment it's Aייni יודע in Peratika, the guy who's going to be chayiv to pay, no questions there. So the only machlok is a Bari V'Shema is if the Shema was, I have no idea if there was ever a Chiyuv in the first place, but the moment that you're moded that there was a Chiyuv, but you're just not sure, maybe you dispensed with the Chiyuv already, and maybe you padded the Chiyuv up. So there the Tosha says, quoting that Mishnah that you learned, that you're for sure going to be Chayiv. Okay. So we're going to start, what we're going to start to discuss over here is as follows. First and foremost, on a very, very simple level, we want to know what the pshat in that chiluk is. Okay, why is it true that every Aייni יודע in Peratika is automatically a scenario where you're going to be chayav, but Aייni יודע in hilvisani is subject to the machlokas between Rav Nachman and Rav Yehuda? What's the pshat behind that chiluk? Now, before we get into the shitas and rishonim on a just purely conceptual level on our own, we will look and say there are probably two very basic and different possibilities, different directions that we could take. On one level, we might have looked at this scenario, once again, money would be Yadacha, and the other guy says he'll be Sani, the Aייni יודע in Praticha. Right? Everyone agrees you're Chayiv. So the pshat over there might be that in that scenario, I'm just going to coin a phrase right now, we look at this as what we're going to call a super bari. Okay? Super bari would mean that normal baris, Rav Nachman says, lav bari adif and ukimon mechezkas mare. But in that situation, that's a whole different ballpark. And bari is going to be adif. But bari for sure is going to be adif in that kind of a case. If those are the tainas, manli biyadacha, and the other guy says he'll be sani v'enidem pratticha, for sure the bari is adif. Right? So option number one is saying that this is a scenario that, for whatever reason, which we didn't discuss yet, that Rav Nachman is going to be modeh to Rav Huna, that bari is adif over here. Okay? Another way of looking at the chiluk that the Gemara makes there in Bava Kama Kuf Yiches is to tell us that any of the chiyuv, the automatic chiyuv of any יודע פרעתיך, is going to be based on some form of what we'll call an outside svara that's not connected to the classic issues of bari v'shema here. Okay? Bari v'shema is one machlokes, and there's some other thing, some other idea that tells us that in the case of Aini יודע and פרעתיך, that you automatically give me chayiv. But it has nothing to do with machlokes, bari v'shema, bari other for not. Okay? We hear the two options just on a very simple level? Okay, great. So let's start off by pointing out a possible diak. Again, I'm going to let you think about this as the day is going on, just to get our minds working a little bit. A possible diak might be here in our Tosis. Okay? Why? What do I mean by that? So Tosis over here very simply says, again, we just read the Tosis. Monday the other cholim in יודע, Perish, it has to be in יודע he'll be signing me olam, but if he'll be signing in יודע פרעתיך, it says that you're chayiv. So let's ask a kasha on the Tosis over here. Why was it important for Tosis to tell me that? Okay? What would have been missing from my understanding of the sugya had Tosis not said that? Okay? Monday the other he says any יודע. Oh, good. So there's a Gemara in Bava Kama that has this chiluk and יודע פרעתיך, any יודע he'll be signing. But Lamaisa, from my knowledge of this sugya, right? Why is it important to bring in that Gemara from Bava Kama and tell me and inform me that there's a chiluk between the Aini יודע and pratticha, where you're chayav, versus Aini יודע im hilvisani, which is a machlokes over here. So again, you could have said back to that, right? That because those wants to tell you the emes. Like Lamaisa, you shouldn't mistake what the pshat in the Gemara is. Don't think that the phrase Aini יודע has multiple possible meanings. It's not true. Aini יודע just means that one specific case of Aini יודע and hilvisani. But if the guy's saying, I don't know, pay you back, okay, you just realize you're chayiv, maybe. Okay? Lanio zaiti, okay? The fact that Tosis brings in that Gemara in Bava Kama, I think is indicating to us that Tosis understands that the concept of Aini יודע and pratticha, where you're chayiv, is actually part of the sugya of bari v'shema bari adif. Okay, and when the Gemara presents the machlokes here, Mani b'yadacha, Hala Aini יודע, so Tosis comes along and tells us, well, I want you to understand something about this concept of bari v'shema bari adif. There's different levels over here. When there's one level of bari v'shema, there's a machlokes. Right? When there's another level of bari v'shema, there's no machlokes. Everyone's going to agree that you're going to be chayiv. That's, of course, the level of Aini יודע im pratticha. Now, what exactly does that mean, right? Different levels of bari v'shema we're going to explore as we're going along right now, okay? But I think it is important just to note and to throw out there, right, that it is definitely a possibility that the fact that Tosis feels the need to bring this, chiluk into our Gemara, perhaps is because Tosis understands that this is actually part of the sugya, as opposed to being a purely external kind of an idea. Well, let me give you an example of that. You saw the riff on that mission Bava Kama, right? On Daf Mem Daled in the Dapia riff. So the riff quotes the Gemara, Omer Chaver Gezaltich, Hilvisani, etc. Davka b'dekatava le Chavre. Okay, if you remember the sugya there, right? The riff is a quoting part of the Gemara. That is only if the other guy was toveya you. Given the bari le shegazal, osha lava, v'staping le im hichzir lo hichzir. Since one guy is bari that, you borrowed the money or that you stole money from me, the other guy is misupok about, maybe I paid you back already, okay? You're going to be chayiv to pay. Says the Rif, why is that true? The Rif writes, the ain suffik motzi midei vadai. One guy's suffix can't be motzi, can't exclude, can't win over the other vadai, the other guy's vadai. That's there. Now, hopefully you're familiar with the Gemara's in Pesachim and Daf Tes. Okay, so the Gemara has a whole amud and a half of the Gemara, where the Gemara discusses this cloud called Ein Safek Motzi Midei Vadai. When I know something for sure, okay, and there's some level of doubt that comes up, the Gemara has a rule that says Ein Safek Motzi Midei Vadai. The Gemara gives an example. This is why it comes up in Pesachim Daf Tes. This is a not so long ago example. A person does Bedikas Chametz. Okay, on his house, on his whatever it is, in his room, okay, and then he sees the all too scary mouse running through the room, and he's not quite sure if there might have been a little piece of chametz in the mouth of the mouse or not. Okay. The Gemara says you don't have to be bodik at that area. You have to check again for chametz. Ain't safek motzi midei vadai. You're not sure what happened. You don't know. You know that the room had a chezkas badak. You checked it. It was a vadai badak. There was no chametz there. Ain't safek motzi midei vadai. The Gemara gives a lot of examples and many different cases out of there. Okay. The idea being is that the klal of ain't safek motzi midei vadai is that we're going to call a shas klal. Okay. It has many applications. It comes up in various places throughout Shas, and it has nothing to do with the topic of Bari V'Shema Bari Adif. It doesn't govern how we pass in against the Chazkas Mamon, does the Tainas Bari win, etc. It's a klal. Ain't safek motzi midei vadai. The application in our case is, right, that if there's a vadai chiyuv, right, because everyone agrees that I borrowed the money, everyone agrees I stole the money. It's just a safek if I got out of that chiyuv. Right, so the Rif says, okay, so that's the klal. Ain't safek motzi midei vadai. Now, Reb Nachman and our Gemara normally hold that ukim imonu b'chezkas marei. Right, that's true. There's a chazaka, right, chezkas marei. So the Rif is explaining, right, that's all great, but since there's a general principle called ain't safek motzi midei vadai, okay, so you're not knowing if you discharge your obligation to pay him back, and there's a vadai chiyuv, so your chazaka can't help anything over here, because ain't safek motzi midei vadai tells us that we have to use the vadai chiyuv, right, and be mechayev you to pay back, because your whatever safek is just overshadowed, canceled, erased, done, chucked in the garbage, over, got the ideas, right, a lot of repetition. Your safek stance means nothing, does ain't safek motzi midei vadai. And again, why is there a vadai? Not because the other guy had a tainas bari. There's a vadai because I agree that I was a chayav, right? So I can't get out of that with any kind of a safek, and my chazak is also not going to help for that, because ain't safek motzi midei vadai. So now let's come back to the point we just made about our Tosfos, okay? Which is that if you're going to tell me that the chiluk between an Eini יודע im Hilvisani, which is called a big time Shema, Machlokes of Nachman of Yehuda, yeah, and the chiluk between that and an Eini יודע im Prathicha is all based on this shas klal of Ein Safek Motzi Midei Vadai, okay, then there's no real reason that you would have to bother telling me about that when you're learning up our Gemara over here. It's not relevant to our sugya, okay? Tosfos, on the other hand, right, this is the diuk we're making in Tosfos, by introducing the idea of the principles Eini יודע and Prathicha, is perhaps driving at saying that the pshat that the Rif gives is not really true. This actually is the sugya of a Bari V'Shema Bari Adif, and within the sugya of Bari V'Shema Bari Adif, there's a reason to tell me that in this scenario, the Bari is going to win, even though the other guy has a chezkas mama. Okay? Now why? Right? What is that, and what changed over here? So now we're going to explore a little bit further. Let's do this derech the Tosfos. It's a little tricky Tosfos, but the Tosfos in Bava Metzia Daf Tzadivav. Okay. So to be able to do the Tosfos properly, we have to remind ourselves of what it said in the Mishnah here in Bava Metzia. Okay. Now you had the Mishnah before when we first did the Sugya Bari Veshema. Okay. So let's chazer over the Mishnah and just when I just wanted to open up my Gemara here to the Mishnah. Excuse me. And we're going to have to take careful note of the language of the Mishnah over here. Right, so the Mishnah has a case of Shoel as a para Shoel Chatzi Hayom Usachara Chatzi Hayom. Okay, please, as you're writing shir down, make a list over here. Get each case clearly because it's going to help us understand. There's also a lot more that we're going to add that's not on the page right now. Right? So case number one is Shoel Chatzi Hayom Usachara Chatzi Hayom. I borrowed one para. Okay, half the day it was borrowed. Half the day I was renting it. Okay, now of course remember from learning that Mishnah is that when you're a shoel you're chayiv on onsim. Okay? Even if a total onus takes place, you're chayiv to pay. But when you're a socher, right, when you're renting something, you're not chayiv for onsim. So you rent a car from Hertz, right, lightning strikes and blows it up, you're putter. Okay, if I borrow my friend's car and lightning strikes and blows it up, I'm chayiv to pay. Okay, but the same para was for part of the day was a she'ula, part of the day was a sechura, or shala hayom usechara lamachar, or the same para, right? But on Sunday it was a she'ula, on Monday it was a schura. Okay, or sachar achas for shal achas, or okay, you have two paras. One was a she'ula, and the other one was a sechura, umesa, and then it dies. And misa is called an onus, okay? And you have a debate. Hamashel omer she'ula mesa, b'yom shayisa she'ula mesa, b'shar shayisa she'ula mesa. The mashil, the lender, says, well, it either died on the day or at the time, or the one that was a she'ula died, and you're chayiv to pay. The other guy says, Aini יודע, I don't know, not sure. I don't know if that happened. I know it died. I just don't know, I'm not sure that it died at the time that it was a shul, or maybe it died at the time that it was a score. I'm not sure that it died on the day that it was a shul, or maybe it died on the day it was a score. I'm not sure that the one that died, the cows all look alike, right? Cows and charedim, and the one that died, I don't know, maybe it was a shul, maybe it was a score. I'm not really sure. Okay? The Mishnah passes that you're chayiv to pay. Mishnah passes you're chayiv to pay. And that's why the Gemara brings in that, hey, is this a raya to the idea of Rafuna that any day when the guy says any יודע bari v'shema bari yizadif, and then the Gemara again had its sugya over here. Okay, going through the list carefully that we just read. Okay, the way the Mishnah reads is that there is three different cases. The first two you're dealing with one para, but there's a question of timing. Okay, did the she'ela die or not? Okay, but there for sure was a she'ula, and the cow started off as a she'ula. Okay, on the first half of the day or the first day entirely. The other case was that we're not really sure. Yeah, we're not really sure which cow died. Well, one of them was a she'ula that should be chayiv on, and the other one was a schur that should be pater on. Okay. So Tosfos comes along and asks the following kasha. My apologies, I want to just move the position of the Tosfos here so I can actually see it. And Tosfos says like this: V'hala omer eini יודע. Okay, that's where the Gemara brings in our machlokas, right? One of the other cases is eini יודע. Davka shomer eini יודע im hilvi sani. Any יודע is if you say, I don't know if I ever borrowed the money. Well, he'll be signing the any יודע and his loch. If you tell that I borrowed it, I'm just not sure if I paid it back. Well, Masnisin Hiba goes Obasser, it's a Mishnah in Bava Kama, the Chayav. Okay. Now, Tosfos says, but based on that, I have a problem with the Mishnah and the Gemara there in Bav Mitzia. Let me come makom parach shapir the Reb Nachman me Masnisin. But despite that chilik, the Gemara, when it wants to ask a question from the Mishnah on Reb Nachman, hey, how does Reb Nachman say you're potter? Yeah. The Mishnah here says that you're chayiv to pay. That's actually a good question. The Afagav the Modesh Shamasel or Shtei Paros, even though in the case of the Mishnah, everyone agrees that there were two paros that were given over. Okay? And what Tosfos is asking now, doesn't that sound like the Mishnah over here is a case of Eini יודע im P'raticha, right? The cows were given over. I was a shoel. I'm just not sure if the circumstances are such they get out of the chiyuv. And that's a case that everyone agrees that you're chayiv on. So why does the Gemara think that this Mishnah is a kash on Reb Nachman? So Tosfos says no. Kevan shemachtir achas hevi ki'ila omer Eini יודע im hishaltani in lav. Since he is going to be giving back one of the paros, okay, says the Tosfos, this is actually is a case of Eini יודע im hilvisani. I don't know if there was a chiyuv or not. If the entire issue is I don't know if it died when it was a she'ula, okay? I don't know if it dies when it was a she'ula. So Tosfos says that that's the equivalent of I don't know if I was ever chayiv. Okay? And that's why that case is actually a kasha on a Reb Nachman. Now there's a couple of things that we have to speak about this teretz of Tosfos. First of all, this is a case of Eini יודע im P'raticha. I'm chayiv, but I don't know if I paid you back. The shoel is moda that he borrowed a para, right? I'm a shoel, right? I agree with that. So I have a chiyuv as a shoel. Okay, I'm moda that I borrowed the cow during the morning hours, right? But it was only a schura in the afternoon. Okay, so why isn't he basically still being moda that there's a situation here that I am chayiv and owns him. There's only a suffix if he's pater, right? So what does Tosfos mean? What does Tosfos mean when he says that this is a case of Eini יודע im hilvisani? I don't know if I was ever chayiv. I mean, like you do know you were chayiv. That's exactly the case. You're admitting that you were a shoel. Okay, so we're going to explain a little bit more, okay, what's going on in Tosfos. There's a discussion, all of this that we're being discussed is based on the Tosfos HaRush there in Bava Metzia, okay? I didn't have you read all the things at the bog you down, plus a Ramban and a Nimukei Yosef there in Bava Metzia. So let's go like this. The Nimukei Yosef and Ramban both explain that the Iker Raya that the Gemara is bringing there is the case of Shoel Achas and Socher Achas. Okay? One cow was borrowed, and the other para was a schura. There, okay, the actual suffix is whether or not I was ever a shoel. Okay? Because on one of the two paros that exist, I was a shoel, but on the other one, I was always a socher on. Okay? So there is a possibility over here that on the par that died, I was never chayiv on that. That's a schura. Okay? Or the Nimukei Yosef explains, let's go to the other case in the Mishnah. Right? Sha'ala chatzi hayom u'sechura chatzi hayom. Okay? So if you look at the Mishnah literally, it's a very interesting line that Nimukei Yosef has. If you look at the Mishnah literally, that means that I know that, I'm just making up numbers, from 6 in the morning to 12 in the afternoon, this par was a she'ula. Right? And then the only question was whether or not the death occurred from 12 in the afternoon and on, right? But I already was, I started off being chayiv. Says in Mukil, says, no, maybe the Mishnah is actually lav davka. Maybe the case in the Mishnah is that you were sechara chatzi hayom and shala chatzi hayom. When you're starting off, right, the first 6 hours of the day is that I was never chayiv on onsim because it was a schura, okay? In which case, in the Nimukei Yosef says, I'm back to what Tosfos explains. This is actually essentially a case of Eini יודע im hilvisani. I'm not sure if there was ever a chiyuv at all, because it was not clear that I was ever a shoel in the slightest bit. So what the Nimukei Yosef is saying, he adds one more thing we're going to leave out for right now. The one thing that you see from this Nimukei Yosef, again, write it down quickly, look it up later. I'm going to try to listen, keep listening in. If there's what we're going to call a sibas achiyuv, meaning to say, if there actually was an animal that I was a shoel on, which is the ultimate reason for me to be chayiv, that's automatically called Eini יודע im P'raticha, and for sure you're going to be chayiv to pay. Okay? Tosfos himself didn't spell any of that out. Right? Remember, Tosfos just says, listen, there were two paros, Right? So it's a case of Eini יודע Milvi Sani. Or, even like the Para'achas, since I'm saying I don't know if it was a shul or a skura, that's also called Eini יודע Im Hilvi Sani. Okay? So what is the pshat in that line of Tosas now? Again, the Mukiyose says, you have to switch around the Mishnah is like Davka, the order and all that, but Lamaisa Tosas doesn't spell any of that out, right? So in the case of Sha'ala Chatzi Hayom, Tosas, the Pashtus is telling us that even if the order in the Mishnah was Davka, it was Sha'ala Chatzi Hayom and Tzachara Chatzi Hayom, okay, this is still going to be viewed as a case of Eini יודע Im Hilvi Sani at all. So why is that true? Your mode that you were showing. So Tosas the Rosh explains, okay, what the pshat in Tosas is over here. Tosas the Rosh says as follows. You know why that's called Eini יודע Im Hilvi Sani? Because it is totally legit, okay, that the Shomer doesn't really know the exact hour that the para died. He doesn't know when the Shas Misa was. Okay? And it's a low, heavy Leila Meida. We had an arrangement, from 6 till 12 it's a Shula, 12 to 6 in the afternoon it's a Skura. Did the Misa take place at 11:59? Did it place at 12:30? I don't really know. So there's no taina. How is he supposed to know that? His Eini יודע, I don't know if it was a Shula or a Skura, okay, is low, heavy Leila Meida. There's no taina on him at all. The Yesod, the Tosas the Rosh says, of what an Eini יודע in Praticha is that there's a taina on you. What do you mean Eini יודע in Praticha? Heavy Leila Meida. You're supposed to know that. You're supposed to know if it's Eini יודע. If you put Porei Yechov or not. And if you're saying in Praticha, there's a taina. That's a ridiculous taina. Heavy Leila Meida, and you're going to be chayiv to pay. Okay? The Pashas says that's the pshat in the Tosas there. In Bava Metzia. That's why Tosas doesn't give this whole orichos. And if you actually take a look in the Nimukei Yosef, you see the Nimukei Yosef is 30 lines long. It's a big, that's why I didn't give it a big, long Nimukei Yosef against a 3-line Tosas, right? Tosas doesn't learn like the Nimukei Yosef. Tosas is telling us, probably like the Tosas Rosh holds, it doesn't matter what the order is, which para came first, it doesn't matter which day it was, as long as it's legitimate that the Shomer doesn't really know exactly what happened. That goes back to the case of Eini יודע Im Hilvi Sani, okay? Which means in simple English, okay, the way the Tosas Rosh explains this Tosas there and on that Tzadivav in Bava Metzia, what we're saying over here is that the case of Eini יודע and Praticha, coming back to my expression before, is in fact a function of the svaros, the internal svaros of the machlokas about Bari B'Shema. It's a super Bari case. When he has a taina is Bari, right? And even though you're a muchzak, but your taina is I know I'm chai, but I don't know if I paid you back. Whoa. That's such a heavy Leila Meida that we cannot accept that at all, right? And that taina is Bari wins even against your Ukim Amona B'Chezkas Mari. Because how could that be? If we know there's a chiv, you know you borrowed the money, you know that you were gozel, right? And you don't know if you ever gave it back. That's ridiculous. Bari B'Shema, Bari is going to be adif. The Shema is so garua, right, that even the Ukim Amona B'Chezkas Mari can't possibly help. But Nachman has to be modeh to Tuna in that case. Okay? And what we're being the dayek from our Tosas and our sugya is that Tosas also agrees with that pshat over here. And that's why Tosas tells you it's important for you to know that principle of Eini יודע Praticha, because that speaks to the heart of what the concept of Bari V'Shema, Bari Adif actually is all about. You show me a case of Hilvi Sani, the Eini יודע Praticha, that's a Bari V'Shema. That's a heavy Leila Meida. That's an unacceptable taina. And even with your Chezkas Mamon, that's not going to be able to win. Okay, we're 3 minutes late, so we're going to call things over here for today. There's a lot more that we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. Please try to take the time to be looking, if you can, at that Tosas Rush.